Hello everyone and welcome to the first Guitar Busters guitar lesson. This is lesson 1, chords. Before we begin this lesson, there's one word that we need to learn what it means, and that word is strumming. Strumming is just this. This is strumming down, strumming up. And that's the basics of playing a chord, strumming. Okay. Now that we get that out of the way, we can actually start learning some chords. Okay. Before we learn the chords, I have to teach you what a chord diagram is and how to read it. A chord diagram is, if you look at the MySpace page under lesson 1 chords, you'll see a little box that has G, and then under it have 6 lines going down and 6 lines going across, and 3 little dots on top and 3 dots in it. Well, this represents the G. How it represents that is that represents the neck. The line under the 3 little dots represents the nut, which is this right here where the strings rest. The next line going down, the next line after that represents the 1st fret. The one after that represents the 2nd fret. The one after that represents 3rd fret, which will have a dot on it. And on most guitars, this one has a square, but most of them have a dot. The next one represents the 4th, and the next one represents the 5th. The last one represents the 5th. Those are the lines going across. That's what they mean. Now the lines going down represents the strings. The first one on the left represents the E string. The next one going to the right represents the A string. The next one represents the D string. The next one represents the G string. The next one the B, and the next one the E. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 6, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. That's how they're numbered. Okay. Now that we know that, we can actually get to learning the actual chords by reading the chord charts. If you look at the chord chart on the left, there's going to be a little dot. This little dot is between if you look at it, it's between the 2nd and the 3rd fret. So that means that you're going to have to put your finger between those 2 frets, right in the center. By putting your finger between the 1st and the 2nd and the 3rd fret, you're activating the 3rd fret, the note on the 3rd fret. Okay, and if you the next dot, right, is on the 5th string, the 2nd thickest, on between the 1st and the 2nd. So your finger's going to go right there between those 2. And then the last little dot is on the E string, is between the 2nd and the 3rd. And that's the G. When your fingers are in those 3 places, you can strum everything, and that's a G chord. Yep, that's a G chord. When you first learn these chords, it's essential that wherever your finger frets, which is a term for making the sound on that fret, that you press it down hard enough, just hard enough so you can hear it. Because you don't want this to happen. You want to hear a nice solid note, a nice solid chord, not. You want not. Okay. And also you have to make sure that your fingers are nice and up, because you don't want them touching on the strings, because then you get this. You want to make sure they're all just touching where they have to be. They're fret and that's it. They're not touching any other string. Okay. Now to get that out of the way, let's move on to the D. Now the D is, we'll read it off the chart. On the right side, the first dot is in between the 1st and the 2nd fret, so that's what we'll do. We'll take this finger and we'll put it between the 1st and the 2nd. The 2nd dot is between on the 2nd string is between the 2nd and the 3rd. So what we'll do is we'll take that finger and put it there between the 2nd and the 3rd, and we'll take the last finger, we'll put the last finger where the last dot is, which is on the 3rd string between the 1st and the 2nd fret. And that's it. That's the fingering of the D. Now, if you look on the diagram, there's going to be a circle over the 4th string. the D string. That means that that string is going to be used when you play the chord. So this is the D chord. And if you notice, there's nothing over the low E and the A. That means that those strings are not used whatsoever. So when you strum, you don't use those. You just use this one, those. That's all you use. Now let's move on to the A. The A is fairly simple. On a diagram, pretty much you take this finger right here, your second finger, and you put it between the first and the second fret on the second string, like so. Then you take your middle finger and you put it in the same place on the next string, between the first and the second fret on string number 3. And then you take your last finger, this finger right here, and you put it the same place on string number 4, between the first and the second fret, and that's the A. If you notice on the diagram, there's a circle over the A string, the fifth string, the second deepest, the second thickest, if you will. That means that you're going to start on there and strum down, and then when you strum up, you're going to end on that string. You're not going to use the E string at all. And also on that chart, there's no circle over the last E, or the first E, excuse me. But you can use it if you want. It doesn't really matter. Okay. The second to last chord we're going to learn is the E chord. That's pretty much the simplest of all. What you're going to do is you're going to take your pointer finger, and on the third string, you're going to put it between the nut and the first fret, right there. Then you're going to take this finger right here. What we're going to do is you're going to put it right on the fourth string between the first and the second fret. And then you're going to take this finger and you're going to put it between the first and second fret as well on the fifth string. And with this chord, everything rings, so that means you can use all the strings. Okay. The last chord we're going to learn is the C chord. This is a little more difficult because you have to put your fingers in a little weirder places kind of, and to get to it, it's a little harder than most chords. But once you practice it, do it a couple times, it's fine. Okay. You're going to get your pointer finger, right, like the diagram says, and you're going to put it on the second string between the nut and the first fret, so right there. Then you're going to skip the third string, and you're going to use your middle finger, and you're going to put it between the first and second fret on the fourth string, and then on the fifth string, excuse me, you're going to put it between the second and third fret, and you're going to strum from the A string down. And that's the C chord. If you notice, there's two circles above the E string and the G string, which are open. That means that you let them ring, and there you go. And you may be asking yourself, well, how do I use these chords? Well, a little example would be this: G, D, A, That's how you use chords. And if you want to learn more, now that you know how to learn them from the charts, you can go online and learn as many as you want. Have fun playing guitar.